Akumah Audiobooks. You are listening to Guardian of the Portal. Book 1 of 7 in Iron Rule collection available on the Amazon. Chapter 2, Mira confronts the portal. The twisting tunnel seemed endless as Mira and Uncle Roy pressed on, the darkness around them growing thicker. The hum that filled the air grew louder with each step, vibrating through their bones. Mira felt the pull of the portal stronger than ever. It was as if the very air around them was alive, whispering secrets she couldn't quite hear. And then, without warning, the tunnel opened up into another chamber. This one was unlike the others. It was vast, stretching farther than Mira could see, and the air felt heavy, almost suffocating. The walls were covered in shimmering, iridescent symbols, similar to those she had seen on the stone gate, but these were more intricate, more ancient. They pulsed faintly with light, casting strange shadows across the floor. At the center of the chamber stood a figure, a tall, cloaked silhouette, its features obscured by the hood of its robe. The figure didn't move, didn't speak, but Mira felt its presence deep in her chest, a cold, unsettling sensation. This wasn't just another ghostly vision. This was something real. Uncle Roy's grip tightened on his staff as he edged closer to Mira. "Stay behind me," he warned, his voice low. His eyes, narrowed with suspicion, were fixed on the cloaked figure. But before he could do anything, the figure raised its hand, and the room shifted. The walls seemed to dissolve, the symbols swirling around them like a storm. The ground beneath their feet vanished, and suddenly, Mira and Uncle Roy were standing in the middle of a vast, open space, no longer the chamber, but a field. A familiar one. Mira's breath caught in her throat. This couldn't be real. The sun dappled through the leaves, casting familiar shadows on the winding paths. The scent of freshly cut grass filled the air, a nostalgic aroma that tugged at her heartstrings. It was the park, her childhood playground, yet something felt off. A chill crept down her spine as she realized this couldn't possibly be the same place. Panic surged through her as she spun around, searching for Uncle Roy. The once familiar park was now an eerie, silent expanse. "Uncle Roy," she called out, her voice echoing through the empty space. Her heart pounded in her chest as a sense of dread washed over her. There was no answer. Panic surged through her. This wasn't right. This wasn't where they were supposed to be. It was a trick. The portal was playing with her mind again. And then, she saw her. Her mother, standing beneath the old oak tree, her figure bathed in sunlight. A smile played on her lips, the same warm, inviting smile Mira had always loved. But as Mira drew closer, something was amiss. Her mother's eyes, once filled with love and warmth, now held a cold, distant gaze. Mira's breath caught in her throat. There, beneath the familiar oak, stood her mother, her figure bathed in a soft, ethereal glow. Her smile was warm, her eyes filled with a love that seemed to pierce through time and space. But as Mira drew closer, a chill crept down her spine. Something about her mother's gaze, something in the way she moved, felt off. It was almost as if she were a ghost, a haunting echo of the past. "Mom," she whispered, taking a tentative step forward. "Is it really you?" Her mother's outstretched arms beckoned Mira closer, a silent invitation to step into the illusion. Mira's heart yearned to embrace her, to feel the warmth of her mother's love once more. But a voice, a tiny whisper of doubt, warned her to resist. This wasn't real. It was a trap, a cruel deception. "Mira," her mother finally said, her voice soft and familiar. "I've been waiting for you." Tears welled up in Mira's eyes. "I missed you," she whispered, taking another step toward him. "I've been looking for you. I came to find you." "And now you've found me," her mother said, her smile growing wider. "You don't need to go any further. Stay here with me. We can be together, just like before." Mira's blood ran cold. This wasn't her mother, not the one she remembered. The woman before her was a hollow shell, a puppet controlled by a dark force. Her mother would never ask her to abandon her quest, to surrender to despair. "No," Mira said, her voice trembling. "You're not real." Her mother's smile faltered, and the warm expression on his face turned cold. Why do you doubt me, Mira? Don't you want to be happy? Don't you want to be with me? Mira took a step back, her hand tightening around the pendant. You're not my mom. This is just another trick. I won't stay here. The figure of her mother darkened, her eyes narrowing into something far more sinister. The warm park around her began to dissolve, the grass turning to ash, the sky darkening into an endless void. The oak tree withered and crumbled into dust. Mira's heart raced as the world fell apart around her. You're not real, she shouted, gripping the pendant tightly. The illusion shattered, and suddenly, Mira was back in the chamber. The cloaked figure stood before her, its hand still raised, as if it had been controlling the vision all along. But now, its posture has changed. It seemed disappointed. A chilling silence filled the chamber as the figure's voice echoed, "You have failed the first test, child. But fear not, for many more trials await." Mira's heart pounded like a drumbeat in her chest. She forced herself to steady her breath, her voice resolute. "I'm not afraid of your games," she declared, her eyes locking with the figure's. A sinister smile crept across the figure's lips as it lowered its hand. The room shifted and warped, the symbols on the walls pulsating with a menacing energy. A new trial awaited, a darker, more perilous challenge. Uncle Roy materialized beside her, his expression a mix of confusion and fear. "What in the world?" he stammered, his eyes darting around the chamber. "It was a test," Mira said, her voice steady now. "The portal is trying to trick us, but we can't let it get into our heads." Uncle Roy nodded, though he still looked uneasy. "We need to be careful. This place is dangerous." The figure's gaze was fixed on Mira, its eyes burning with a cold, otherworldly light. A shiver ran down her spine as she realized the true nature of this being. It was a guardian, a warden of the portal, and it was determined to test her to the limits of her endurance. The orb, drained of its light during the trial, began to pulsate with renewed energy. It hovered towards the far side of the chamber, beckoning them forward. Mira and Uncle Roy exchanged a wary glance, the weight of the unknown pressing upon them. A sense of unease settled over Mira as they delved deeper into the heart of the portal. She could feel its gaze upon her, a watchful eye that saw all, knew all. Every step they took was a test, a trial, a challenge to their very souls. They had survived the first trial, but they knew this was only the beginning. The portal was a labyrinth of trials, each more perilous than the last. What horrors awaited them in the depths of this otherworldly realm? Akumah Audiobooks. You have reached to the end of the chapter. Click next and continue listening. Guardian of the Portal. This story consists total of 7 chapters, as such 7 videos. Consider subscribing for more epic tales by Akumah Audiobooks and refer to channel playlist for better experience and sequence.